The 2024 Saskatchewan Summer Games might be a few years away, but in Lloydminster, the city is already making preparations. As RJ Smackey explains, it's the work that was put into the cancelled 2020 Games that's giving the city a head start.
It will still be a while until athletes from across Saskatchewan converge on the border city in the summer of 2024 for the Saskatchewan Summer Games. Lloydminster City Council was busy this week making some decisions related to those games.
We have two individuals that have a long history in our community of being very involved in numerous events and numerous activities, and it speaks very well to have two people step forward. It's a pleasure to welcome Aaron and Wendy as co-chairs.
Wendy Plandowski and Aaron Rollick will serve as co-chairs of the 2024 Host Society. Mayor Gerald Albers is confident in the two local organizers who stepped forward.
I know with the committee that will be in charge, I'm totally confident that they'll produce award-winning games that will break even and very likely turn a profit.
Council also granted first reading to a bylaw that will give the city the ability to provide financial assistance to the host society. There's also sponsorship money that will carry over from the cancelled 2020 Games.
It's always a challenging for any committee. There are expenses that will come up, and if you haven't 2 years out, it's nice to have a little bit of seed money available, that they're not coming to the city looking for an advance or something like that.
Lloydminster is ahead of where a typical host city would be this far out from the games, having already prepared for the 2020 Games, and the city is hopeful that that will lead to cost savings.
It will give us the opportunity to ensure that all our venues that are required for the 2024 Games are in premier condition, as well as our community is fully prepared. No one likes to have something planned, lose it, but the fortunate ability to have it come back again, and knowing that no other community has done the Games since.
Administration will now do an inventory of the city's facilities to figure out which facility may need investments before the city hosts the Games in 2024. For Primetime Local News, I'm Jay Smackey.
Remembrance Day is coming up on Thursday, and for those wanting to pay their respects, the Lloydminster Legion is hosting a virtual ceremony. For more on the gathering, here's Jasmine King.
With the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Remembrance Day ceremonies across the country look different this year, including here in the border city.
We have Forges Entertainment coming into, or Forges Photography, that's what they're called, coming in to do our, to set us up to broadcast live on the new Lloydminster Nissan page and the Legion number 39 page on Facebook, and be broadcast live on those two pages.
Even though the ceremony is virtual this year, the Legion hopes that they will be able to reach more people since it's online. The Legion is glad they were still able to have a ceremony this year, as it helps teach the younger generation.
To be able to pass it on, I guess that's why we're here, and to keep it alive for the people that are coming up, and so they can learn more about the remembrance and what remembrance is about. It's not, and remembrance isn't just a one-day thing. It's, we should be remembering them daily.
If people in Lloydminster are looking to support the Legion on other days, Scott adds there is numerous ways they can do so.
They can find a member, talk to a member. They can come down to Legion. Right now we're only open Fridays and Saturdays. We have meat draws and stuff, so if they want to come down and visit and get to know some people, become a member. We're always, we're welcoming new members all the time. And it's membership that helps volunteer organizations like this grow.
Visit the Lloydminster Legion's Facebook page for more information. Jasmine King, Primetime Local News.
Now, for your first look at weather, here again is Jasmine King.
Thank you, Tate. Taking a first look at your weather forecast, we are currently sitting at 2 degrees here in the border city. We did have a bit of a more gray day today, and it was a little bit stronger with that wind, so we did feel that a little bit. But now, as we're looking at your temperatures right now around the region, 2 in Vegreville and Vermilion, 4 in Wainwright, and then 6 in Provost. Cold Lake is at -1, and St. Paul is at 1, and Bonnyville is at 3. Looking at the Saskatchewan side, we can see 7 in Macklin, 2 in Maidstone, 4 in St. Walburg, and -1 in Meadow Lake, and 3 degrees in Green Lake. But as we look At your satellite radar, we can see that it is coming in from the west, so that's moving into the Wainwright and Provost and Macklin area, and that'll continue on going to North Battleford overnight. And we can see in Lloydminster we will be getting that tonight as well, and it'll start around 2 a.m. But as we look overnight, again, we can see most of the areas around the region are getting snow. We can see that in Bonnyville, Paradise Hill, as well as Meadow Lake, but we're all getting to those minuses overnight, as well as Unity will be at 0. But most of the areas around the region will be seeing snow overnight. But as we look at North Battleford overnight, they will be getting to 0, but they do currently have a special weather statement in effect with the amount of snow that they may see overnight tonight. So that might start later on into the night tonight and carry on into the morning. But as we look at your 3-day forecast for here in the border city, we can see we have a high of 2 degrees tomorrow, and we can expect snow tonight and carry on into the morning till around noon or later. And then Thursday we have that high of -1, so we're in those minuses for the highs for our days, and then Friday we have a high of -2. But that is a look at your 3-day forecast, and we'll have more news after the break.
Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef has certifications for farmers so that their efforts don't go without recognition. And as our Jillian Code found out, getting certified might be easier than you think.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm joined by Anne Wasco, who is the chair of the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. Today we're talking about certification requirements for beef. So Anne, can you walk me through what's required of producers for their meat to be considered CRSB certified?
Okay, so the CRSB Certified Sustainable Program is, first of all, a voluntary program, and it's outcome-based. What it measures the different practices that our producers are using on their operations. There's several different indicators across 5 different areas, so it's not kind of just one thing, but they involve different indicators for natural resources, looking at different sustainability indicators. Animal health and welfare is the second one. People and community is the third one. Food, and the fifth one is innovation and efficiency. So all of those different topics, they all have kind of parts that that you're measured on and audited on in terms of meeting that claim for sustainability and certification. And it goes through an audit process, obviously. There's third-party auditors and certification bodies that come to your farm or ranch and go through the audit with you. As well, when the cattle leave the operation and until they do get to the packing plant, well, the cattle and the beef are all tracked through the system. So it's an all-encompassing program, I would say, to reward producers that are looking to be recognized for going that extra mile.
And so I'm wondering, when a producer comes to, the CRSB and says, hey, sign me up, I want to get certified. Are there a lot of changes that they have to make to their production? Or would you say that, the average, everyday Canadian farmer is already, pretty closely aligned with those sustainability goals that you guys have set out?
Well, I'll maybe speak from a personal experience on that one. So I would consider our operation, we're a cow-calf operation in Southwest Saskatchewan. And when we went through the process here, of course, nervous, what is it going to entail and all those kinds of things. But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, what it really meant in terms of what we had to do differently. First of all, it was a great learning, learned lots. And then secondly, probably the biggest thing for us was more record, just keeping track better on the animal health side. And even though we knew what we were doing before, now we're tracking it. Everything gets put down in black and white on paper. What vaccines were used when and where, and what the withdrawal. So all of those, just I'd say more documentation, which in hindsight, it's been an easy step for us. And like I say, now we look at things a little bit differently now that we know these are the different criterias, whether it might be an environmental thing or a water thing or an animal health thing, using pain mitigation, for example, now when we do our brandings. Those different things were all things that we learned as we went through the process. So I would view it, and that's generally what I've heard from other producers. But it's been a good process for us to feel proud about what we're doing and the food that we're producing for Canadians.
And then, touching on sustainability, I'm wondering, what does sustainability entail post-production? Say this, this steer was raised in a really, really sustainable way on a farm in, say, Newfoundland. And then, once it's slaughtered, it's transported, the meat's transported to, Alberta, BC, something like that, kind of negating all the sustainability in post-production with, the amount of transport. So is that something that the CRSB takes into consideration, is, post-production sustainability as well?
So this program in itself is measuring at the producer level, and then of course processors have their own different indicators for processing standards. So they have the same thing with different indicators on that side with those same 5 topic areas. I think more broadly talking about, once it leaves our ranch or our farm, things that are measured in the whole beef production system, like our greenhouse gas footprint, which encompass some of those transportation things that you're talking about, are measured more from a whole industry perspective. And I can talk about those as well if you want, because I think that's part of what consumers are asking for. We want to know that the cattle and the beef were raised, in this, sustainable manner, as we've defined within the CRSB with those 5 different key areas. But then at the same time, they want to know that the whole process from, as we call it, gate to plate, is also sustainable. And back in 2016, the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef did a full benchmark assessment of the Canadian beef industry, everyone, not just within our certification producers, but everyone. And of course, the end result was being able to show consumers and the world that we are one of the most sustainable beef producing countries in the world. So one of the stats that I like to use is, only of Canada's total greenhouse gas emissions, only 2.4% comes from beef production. And we're looking to lower that some more. So, but that's one of the lowest in the world, and we're pretty proud of that. The other one that came from that report is that these lands that we run beef cattle on are also home to wildlife, and that whole biodiversity piece that is so important. If you take cattle away, then, conservation people tell us so does the wildlife. And then the other piece is, of course, what it does to storing carbon in the soil, right? People want to, especially after we're coming off this COP26 meeting and people are talking about carbon, certainly grazing lands stores in Canada. This same report gave us the number, 1.5 billion tons of carbon is stored in Canadian soils where cattle are being run. So there's some pretty kind of significant, important environmental news from that. But I also want to stress that the program, that certification program we're talking about, is much more than environmental. We talk about animal health and welfare. We talk about taking care of the people and being involved in the community. All those pieces is what we call sustainability.
And thank you so much for your time today.
Now it's time to look at some agriculture prices for today. Reservist Sports Center will hold home to female hockey players this week as the city is hosting a 4-day hockey camp. For more on what the camp means for the future of women's hockey, here's Evan Kenny.
Monday morning, female hockey stars of tomorrow hit the ice for a 4-day camp. Coached by PWM Steelers staff and players, girls ages 7 to 12 got to steal some hockey knowledge of their own.
It's really important. The female game is the reason why hockey is continuing to grow, and we're excited about that. There's a lot of programs out there that are supporting female hockey and starting to see the value in female hockey. It's a great product that these girls are putting out, and they're just as dedicated as the boys. So it's important that they also get recognized of everything that they are putting in.
From 8 hours on the ice to 4 hours of dry land training and even 4 different lunch and learn opportunities, players will get their fill of hockey knowledge.
Learning about nutrition, learning about preparation, how do you manage your body, what do you do pre-game, post-game?
Good. It's really fun when you get to do dry land because we get to play dodgeball or a different kind of sport and you get to learn more and more about it.
For players like Taryn Miskew, having current Steelers on the ice is helping her reach her goals.
It's amazing because they can teach us what we need to work on to be a Steeler one day, and I would love to be a Steeler one day.
Lloyd is known in the league to have a phenomenal program. They have an amazing billet program and community support. Everyone knows that, and it's been something that's allowed the female program here to thrive in Lloyd.
The program is put on by the Government of Canada and the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
A battle of border city high schools took place last Friday as 2 football teams met on the field for the Wheatland Football Championship game. Our Josh Howerluck has the details.
The Lloydminster Comp Barons and the Holy Rosary Raiders took to the field last Friday to play for the Wheatland Football Championships. In the end, the Raiders dominated the scoreboard, winning with a score of 52-0.
Pretty proud of the kids. A little bit of a slow start, a couple drop balls, but that's jitters. That's high school kids and jitters in a big game. So, but other than that, we overcame that, focused in, started catching footballs. Defense was amazing. So I'm pretty proud of the kids.
This game was also very special for the seniors on the roster, as this was one of the last games they would play for the Raiders.
I'm feeling very achieved. I was playing for the grade 12s who couldn't play against the comp last year, and my main goal was coming out to destroy, and that's exactly what we did today. I think I could end my last football season very happily. I'm very, very thankful for my team, the coach, staff, everybody.
Kind of sad in a way. I mean, I'm never playing Wheatland again, but great way to go out, if you ask me.
After this win, the Raiders are now preparing to try extend their dominant season to the provincial level.
Yeah, so we're in provincial quarterfinal against Sylvan Lake. Solid team, a lot like this team, a lot like our team, with solid quarterback and a really solid running back and a really good system. So we're gonna have to prep all week.
Well, a week off, we don't have any school, so everyone focused just on football and hopefully come out 1-0 provincials.
The Raiders are slated to play the Sylvan Lake Lakers this Friday in Lacombe. Josh Howerlack, Primetime Local Sports.
It's a case of being in the right place at the right time. The Edmonton Huskies Football Club was traveling home from Saskatoon when they had to pull over to help another driver. Global's Sarah Comadina explains.
On Sunday night in Edmonton, the Huskies Football Club was dwelling on a hard loss in the semifinals in Saskatoon. But on the way home, the focus quickly changed.
Took a tough loss and turned it into a big positive, just being able to help them.
Shortly after leaving, the team bus came across a motorcyclist who had just hit a deer. Player Sheldon McNabb has studied to become an EMT. He and the trainers went out to help stabilize the man who was lying face down on the side of the road.
I did go get some blankets to keep him warm because he was still on the ground.
Other trainers that works with the team I know was holding his hand the whole time and just giving him that support that he needed to know that he's not alone and we're going to do the best we can.
The volunteer fire department from Borden arrived soon after. Captain Jamie Brandrick says the team's quick thinking helped keep the man calm. Brandrick asked the trainers to stay.
Many hands, it makes light work. So the more people there, it's easier to roll the person from laying face down onto the backboard, strap them onto the backboard, put the collar on. So it does help.
We just wanted to make sure he was good and safe and going home to his family.
The man was taken to hospital by Stars Air Ambulance and should be okay.
Given the situation, you could not have asked for anything better. Like, we showed up just at the right time. We had all the staff in place. We had our own trauma kits.
It kind of puts into perspective that we're more than just a team. We're kind of a whole family.
McNabb was having second thoughts about becoming an EMT. He feels this incident may have reinforced his path.
With the situation that happened, it might be a little bit of a sign that I need to keep going with it and finish it off and take that path.
Sarah Comadina, Global News.
Now, let's check in with Jasmine King once again for your second look at weather.
Thank you, Tate. Looking at temperatures right now around the region, we are still sitting at 2 here in the border city, but as we can see, there is -1 throughout most of the region. And then in Edmonton, 3 degrees, Edson is -2, Rocky Mountain House is at 3, and Jasper is actually the warmest there at 6. And as we look at the Saskatchewan side, 0s throughout here in Melfort and Prince Albert, and then Saskatoon is at 4 degrees. But as we look into the northern parts of the provinces, Flin Flon is at -2. La Ronge and South End, as well as Wollaston Lake, are at -3, and then -4 again for most of these other places here. And then Uranium City is at -7, so one of the colder parts of that northern region in Saskatchewan. And then High Level, Fort Chipewyan, Fort McMurray, all at -4 degrees. Grand Prairie and Slave Lake are at -1, and Peace River is at -3. But as we look into your national forecast, we can see Regina's at 5, as well as Winnipeg, and Yellowknife is at -5. At Vancouver is at 7, but they are seeing a lot of precipitation right now, and that is going to carry on throughout most of the week. Toronto is one of our only double digits at 10. Quebec City is at 8, as well as Halifax. St. John's is at 3, and Iqaluit is down at -12 degrees. But as we look at tomorrow around the region, we can see it will be a bit of a colder day around the Lakeland area. Lloydminster will be at 2, as well as Maidstone. North Battleford will be at 0, and Meadow Lake and Green Lake will also be at 0. And as we can see, those zeros carry on throughout in the Alberta side. And then Wainwright is at 4, Provost is at 3, and then Vegreville is at 2 degrees. But we've asked you to send your pictures into our Facebook page, and please continue to do so throughout the week. We would love to feature them in our show. So thank you, Anita, for sending this picture in of this beautiful sunset that just looks great right over the horizon. So thank you for submitting this. And then our next picture here is from Nicole. We can see taking the dog out for a walk, and that lake is just starting to turn into ice. So great picture. Thank you for submitting this to our Facebook page. But as we look into your 7-day forecast, we can see tomorrow here in Lloydminster, there is that 60% chance of some precipitation. So that will start, again, as I mentioned earlier, around 2 a.m. and carry on throughout most of the night and into the early afternoon. Thursday has a high of -1 and a lower chance of precipitation, and that seems to be the trend for most of the week, as we aren't expecting much, except maybe closer when we get into the beginning of next week. But Friday has a high of -2, and then Saturday and Sunday are both at 2 degrees each, with that mix of sun and cloud throughout. Monday is also at 2, and then Tuesday is at 1. So we are close to our averages for our highs and lows around this time of year. But that is a look at your 7-day forecast, and we'll have more news coming up.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of Pet Project. We're joined once again with Becca Lawrence from the Lloydminster and Community SPCA. Becca, I'd ask you how you're doing, but I understand it's a really crazy week there.
Yes, yeah, it's been a bit of a hectic week for us. Our upper respiratory kind of kicked back into gear for us this week, so we decided to shut down. And you know, obviously, when people come in, it's hard not to pet the kitties. Even for us, it's hard not to pet everybody. So yeah, we just decided it was best for us to shut down for a week at least, and just to see where we can get ourselves and the cat, and hopefully that's just on the mend.
100%, and it is really unfortunate that you guys do obviously have to temporarily close so you can get kind of a hold on things, but it is all for the best of the animals. So yeah. Obviously, you know, if you're in the market for a cat right now, just be a little patient, you know, work around, and you know, things will smooth over sooner rather than later. But yeah, once again, we're really sorry to hear that, Becca. So obviously, I know we were chatting last week, but you guys are still really full, which is, I'm sure, probably doesn't help, you know, for the spread of cat germs and things like that. So I know you guys are looking for a lot of donations right now because you're going through so many things with you know, obviously you guys are so backed up. So what are a few things that we can put out there maybe so that anybody watching, you know, if you want to help out, this is a really crucial time for the SPCA. So what should people be on the lookout for, Becca?
You know, you know, just to kind of for us to try and help these animals out as much as we can too. We've just been kind of getting rid of some of our older dishes, some of our litter pans. You know, they're plastic, and eventually they get a little creeped up throughout the days, and you know that can hold bacteria in it as well. So we have been kind of throwing away some litter pans and our cat bowls, things like that. So we are running low now again on those things. But again, to try and beat this, get ahead of it. And so so anything like that we can absolutely use. Towels, blankets, anything like that. And again, our kitten food, dry and wet, we're flying through it. And even like we also like, I don't know if many people think about it, but like gift cards is always a great thing too. You know, if we have to run out really quick to Walmart or something like that, it's easy for us to just take that gift card really quick and go grab what we need instead of, you know, sometimes we shout out on Facebook and people are really, really amazing with that. But sometimes like I said, the gift cards are really a great option for donations as well.
There you go. So obviously, like if you maybe see something on sale, you know, they got the cat dishes on sale at Walmart or something like that. There's certainly so many things you could drop by the SPCA. But as Becca said, you know, cash is kind of king, gift cards are kind of king. It gives a lot of flexibility and you know, especially in your guys' time of need right now with so much craziness going on, it's really, really helpful to be able to do that. Now, one other quick thing, Becca, that we chatted about off camera, which is unfortunately you guys had to cancel an upcoming event just so that you guys can kind of get the wraps on that. But you're got kind of a replacement event, so to speak, which is the PetSmart food drive that you were chatting about earlier.
So like I said, you know, obviously we want to keep our kitties as healthy as possible and not send them out sick or anything like that. So so we canceled our PetSmart adoption. It's normally a week-long event, but we're always there right at the end on the weekend trying to find some kitties and puppies their home. But like you said, that, you know, everyone's sick right now. We canceled it just to get ahead of that. And but the PetSmart's still going to do a food drive for us. And so we'll be sharing that information, and they'll have it all set up. And again, it's a good opportunity for that pet food and kitten food that we'll be looking for.
Perfect. So everybody out there, kind of keep an eye out for that. That will be a great opportunity to get out and help out. And real quick, Becca, let's end with a little bit of good news, which is you guys had your fall feline frenzy last week, and you did get some cats their homes. So why don't we just chat about the results of that real quick?
So thankfully our healthy ones, you know, a lot of them did find their homes. We were able to adopt out 10 of our kitties, so it was a little bit lower than last year, but again, with the amount of sick cats that we had, you know, kind of hiding out in the back and this and that, you know, we're happy with what we were able to find homes for right now too. So 10 kitties have gone out to their homes and are enjoying their lives right now, and that's all we can ask for.
Which, you know, is wonderful. That's 10 cats who now have loving homes, and, you know, that's just something to always be happy about. So, perfect. Well, that's unfortunately all the time we have this week, Becca, but I want to thank you for taking time to chat with us. And once again, anybody out there, if there's anything you can do to help out the SPCA in this super busy season, you know, with everything going on, your help is always appreciated. So once again, thank you, Becca, and thank you to our viewers for stopping by this week.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm joined by Alice Pattison, who's the president of this year's Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo. So Alice, first off, welcome to the program. But with the Christmas Fair coming up on November 19th, I hear you guys are looking for some volunteers.
Yeah, we are. We have lots of little jobs that need to be filled at the to make things run smoothly, like door collection and security and that kind of stuff, like at some of the doors. So yeah, we are, and coat check. So we're looking for about 100 volunteers.
And this is the 33rd year that the market is going to be operating in Lloydminster. So could you just tell people what's special about this year's event, as well as maybe just how it works in general?
This year's event, it's we couldn't have one last year, so it's we get to have one this year, which is very exciting. We have lots of new vendors and some of the old vendors that are coming back. A few things that will have to happen because of government regulations is that we have to do the vaccine passports and ID, or else a negative COVID test, which we have somebody there that is doing COVID tests that you can pay for to get a COVID test on there.
And as far as local vendors are concerned, what are numbers looking like this year?
We're still looking for vendors. We still have some openings. There are vendors out there that are still a little leery because of COVID. So we aren't full, but we are working on it. Every day we get new vendors and we're working at it.
Then if people were interested in previewing the fair online, where's the best place for them to go?
Probably our Facebook page. It's the Lloydminster Christmas Craft Fair and Chamber Expo. And it's got a list of our vendors there. You can ask questions if you have questions, and you can find out a lot of information just from our Facebook page.
Thanks so much for your time, Alice.
Taking a last look at your 7-day forecast, we can see there is that chance that we will be getting some precipitation tonight and heading into tomorrow. And in North Battleford currently there is a special weather statement, so keep your eyes out for that. But as we can see, as we head on into the rest of the week, we will be hovering around those same temperatures, but we will be getting colder overnight tonight as we will be getting that snow.
That's all the time we have for right now, but please stay tuned as we've got some more news coming for you in the next hour.